Wow, she's back. Former Vice President Kamala Harris just gave an incredible speech at the 10th Austrian World Summit. She's actually speaking with Arnold Schwarzenegger. She got a standing ovation. I want to show you what went down. Former Vice President Kamala Harris talked about the Trump regime being the most callous and corrupt regime in American history. Let's watch what she said.
What is essentially the most callous, corrupt, and incompetent presidential administration America's ever experienced.
Now I want to show you the full portion of her comments right there. Very, very powerful. Let's play it.
Predicted just about everything that has happened with this administration.
And you say I told you so?
I don't say I told you so. That's kind of obnoxious. I don't say that. But the reality is many of us predicted. And it didn't require much creative thought because he told us most of what we knew would happen, including that he would go after his political enemies using the Department of Justice. I am not surprised that he may be using the Department of Justice to go after a political enemy in the current governor of California. And this is why I do believe this, upon many other examples of what is essentially, you're going to ask me questions about the current president, I'm going to be candid, what is essentially the most callous, corrupt, and incompetent presidential administration America's ever experienced. And for that reason, I have no question or doubt that we will win the midterms, and it will be a result of people of every background and political association who will contribute to that outcome. I mentioned to one of the officials here, it's important, and I say this to all of my friends here who are not from the United States. Please do know and recall that in the 2024 election, 1/3 of the electorate voted for the current president. 1/3 voted for us, 1/3 did not vote, which means 2/3 of the American electorate did not vote for this. And so when there are questions being raised among our friends around the world, who are the American people? I think it is important to know and remember that the American people do stand, the majority of us, for the alliances that we have formed over decades, do stand for the importance of America being, the chancellor talked about this, reliable as a partner, being an authority among many on important issues, including this changing climate and what we must do to save this dear planet of ours.
More from former Vice President Kamala Harris as she talks about Donald Trump's disastrous, catastrophic, and unlawful war that no American wanted. She makes it very clear where she would stand on these issues. I want you to watch right here.
First off, if you were president, does that war even happen?
So are we going to have this conversation? I'm happy to.
Sure, yeah.
First of all, this is a war the American people did not want. This is a war of choice. This is a president who has proven himself to be entirely self-indulgent. And we will see what happens in the coming hours and days in terms of the negotiation, and really it's a concept of an agreement and where it ends up. But there is no question that there is a direct correlation between this war of choice and what has happened in terms of gas prices. It is estimated the average American has spent since the war started $500 more because of this war. And I will add to that number, to put it in context, the average American is $400 away from bankruptcy for any unexpected expense. So $400 of an unexpected expense could result in bankruptcy for the average American. And this war has resulted in $500 more of expenses, a large part of that because of the gas prices going up.
But to be clear, if you were president, you never start this war.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And let's be clear about this. Let's be clear about this. Thank you, Tim. Let's be clear about this. Whatever is being negotiated, this president is going to declare victory and will end up where we were after the JCPOA and call that a victory, the JCPOA that he withdrew from.
The Obama nuclear agreement. And so
Yes.
so you're not, I mean, that's your thought on this potential
Well,
deal
I have
this week?
more thoughts, but
Yeah.
that's not why we're here.
Yeah, sure.
So we can,
Yeah. Well,
Now, former Vice President Kamala Harris talks about her speaking tour with the American people, what she learned, what she heard from people. Her words are deeply inspiring, and she talks about how after this Trump regime ends, there's going to be all of this debris. There's going to be all of this chaos that we're going to have to confront. Let's play it.
What people are telling me includes that they want to believe in systems, and they've lost trust in those systems. What I hear a lot is that people know that at the end of this administration, there will be a lot of debris. I tell them often, I can't guarantee that it won't get worse before it gets better. But the one thing I do know is at the end of it, there will be a lot of debris, and it would be irresponsible to then address that in a way that we only talk about what should we do, what do we need to do to rebuild, if we do that with any sense of nostalgia. That would be irresponsible. Because the reality is, even before, there were many things that were not working for a lot of people. The status quo is not working for a lot of people. And what the people are telling us is that they want things to be better. And in some places, what that sounds like is we want that to be broken. But they don't actually necessarily mean break it through destruction. But they do mean it has to be better. And I think the people are right. One of the things I think about in the context of the future is Gen Z. I love Gen Z. They are, in the United States, I'm not sure about here in Austria, they are a larger population than baby boomers demographically. They are between the age of about 13 and 28. They have only known the climate crisis. They experienced a pandemic where they lost significant portions of their education and socialization. And the thing I love about this generation, they are so beautifully impatient. They are not waiting for us to figure it out. And if we think about, as we invest in the future of our world and we are unstoppable, if we think about investing in that generation, knowing, for example, that someone who is 20 years old today, based on all actuarials, will live to be about 100. Policymakers among us, let's think about what are we doing right now that for the next 8 decades of their life will plant the seeds for the majority of the life they have yet to live. That gives me a great deal of optimism about what we are capable of doing if we think that way.
So all that being said, does that make you more likely to? Does that make you more likely to run then?
Well, no, you started by asking me what I was going to do next. And what I'm going to do next is get a soccer tort to take home.
And I want to show you this as well, because former Vice President Kamala Harris gets into the weeds over here as she talks about data centers, bureaucracy, and, you know, it's refreshing to hear a leader speak like this, to talk in an articulate way after having to hear all of the bloviating nonsense, incoherency that's spewed from Donald Trump every day. Let's listen to what she has to say. Let's play this clip right here.
I believe that what we should be requiring from a policy perspective is that any organization, corporation that wants to build a data center in a community, that they be required to power it with renewable energy. And that they also be required to invest in what has been a decaying for decades energy grid in America. The energy grid writ large in America was built in the 1960s and 70s. It is old and it is inefficient. And when we look at the specific reasons for then high energy prices, that is among them, which is an old and decaying energy grid. So as data centers are being developed, and there is a certain, just ubiquitous nature of it, it's happening around the country. Tim, you know that. The question should be also, what is the trade-off?
Right. What is the trade-off?
Well, the trade-off should include that a requirement that it use renewable energy, so it is not sucking the resources out of those local communities, and that they also invest in those communities in terms of the energy grid.
Do you agree with him that permitting could be sped up a little bit?
Oh, absolutely.
How so?
Yeah,
How do we do
I
that?
say this as a devout and lifelong public servant. The bureaucracy in government is overwhelming in its ability to slow down innovation and progress. And when we look at increasing distrust that the public has in government, I do believe that is one of the reasons. We have taken on an ethos almost that prioritizes process over progress, to our detriment. When I think most countries, but I'll speak for America, when we look at and ask, why do the people not trust their government or its leaders? One of the most specific and obvious answers to that question is, are we delivering? And are we delivering in real time for the real needs of the people? And the basic need that the people have is to be able to afford life, which means raise their children, have enough to eat, have a roof over their head, be able to take a vacation from time to time. And when we're not meeting those needs, we fail. And bureaucracy, and therefore what it does to delay the speed with which we should address the needs of the people, results in distrust and also inefficiency.
Now, you can contrast this to Donald Trump from earlier in the day when he was standing next to the leader of the United Arab Emirates. Donald Trump starts talking about how attractive and good looking the reporter is and how Trump says he's attracted to the reporter. You can play this clip.
Mr. President, I have a question.
Yes.
Regarding this.
What a nice looking person. Is he from your country? Is he from your country?
Absolutely.
No, he's got such a nice way about him. My people are they're so mean. Look at him, handsome guy. Can put him. Be careful. No, I can put him in a movie right now. Go ahead.
And Donald Trump's really just been struggling at the G7 physically just to live at this point. He just started wandering around in the wrong direction at the G7 summit photo. I'll show this to you right here. Let's play it.
Where are we going? The other side. The other side. It's my wonderful pleasure.
He needed help from the Indian Prime Minister in order just to, again, just kind of stand up. He had to grab Prime Minister Modi's hand. I'll show you this right here. And then finally, I'll just share with you, when he was with French President Emmanuel Macron, just kind of, ranting about UFC fighters, and he just sounds terrible. I don't know what he's even talking about. Contrast what I just showed you with former Vice President Kamala Harris to Trump's behavior. Let's play what Trump just did with French President Emmanuel Macron so you can see for yourself.
Merci beaucoup.
So I want to congratulate the president. Last night, Cyril Gane won the fight against a great fighter, supposed to be unbeatable. And that was it. Cyril is from France. Did you watch the fight?
Yeah.
That
Not
was-
in direct, but I saw it this morning.
That was a great fight. It was a great evening at the White
I was
House.
very proud, Cyril.
Okay.
Please.
Yeah, well, there you have it, folks. Let me know what you think about this all. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. Thanks for watching.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.